use that transaction. There's a small part to play. I would say like 99% of this is on the secure enclave, actually signing the image. That's the hard part. But a lot of people who want to sell blockchain will sell it as a solution to everything, and like you can play a small part, but it's definitely not the ingredient. And the total economic opportunity for blockchain to do something like this is limited to pennies.
Thank you, Mr. Sonny. Can we have your answer, please?
Yeah, well, I would say AI blockchain is working like the best buddies. Based on your actions, based.
I think your question was how blockchains can make AI more essentially robust and less biased, right? So I think there are ways that you can use AI with blockchains today, but I don't think that is related to your question. I think I've seen a lot of talk about decentralized training. Personally, I'm quite bearish on that because I think what an AI agent or what an AI model is outputting, and we think that we have an interesting angle on that.
Thank you. Mr. Mustafa?
Yeah, I guess there's kind of like two different questions that have been discussed. I think the first one is like how blockchains can be used to verify kind of like real versus AI stuff, right? Yeah. So I mean that's kind of an interesting one because kind of like a big problem on the internet that has existed for a long time is this idea of symbol resistance. Like if you go into it, there's lots of bots, and that problem is only getting worse with AI. Like how do you differentiate between like an AI user versus a real user? And that's where kind of like in blockchain systems, there's a lot of experimentation around things like proof of humanity or proof of personhood. So it's like how can I prove that an action was done by a real person and not like some symbol or a bot or an AI? And that's basically like the whole point of things like WorldCoin, right? Like WorldCoin was created by the co-founder of OpenAI specifically so that you can differentiate humans between AI in an internet where it's hard to differentiate that. But in terms of the other question, which is like how do we kind of like integrate AI with blockchains, I think a kind of like an interesting element of that is this idea of on-chain AI. So like we have smart contracts, right? But imagine if we can embed like AI agents on-chain that can do certain tasks, and that AI agent, like you can have a DAO or a decentralized autonomous organization that's run by an AI agent, for example, that might pay people to do tasks, for example. And that's something that we're exploring at Celestia because there's like that's a use case that inherently requires a lot of on-chain data usage because these data models are inherently very large. So there's people exploring use cases on Celestia where let's upload on-chain AI models on-chain, and different organizations or different users might have different models, and then you can execute them on-chain, and those AI models basically kind of like exist on-chain.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with my panelists. I don't think that AI and blockchain would marry as two technologies. However, AI is changing society, and where I see blockchain shines in the post-AGI, UBI society is to have transparent governance, identity system where a civil attack resistant, where everybody can transparently contribute in a democracy and vote and voice their opinion. Data authenticity, digital identity, it's gonna be where in the age of AI, blockchain will shine.
Thank you. I'll break the ice of the technical words here by asking, please, I need your answers. What or where do you see the crypto market headed between Harris and Donald Trump? We can start, please, Mr. Sonny.
Well, I think, I've been in the crypto side for 11, 12 years. So this time is a full cycle. Every 4 years is a cycle in the crypto side and in the crypto market. And we call it like a crypto workout, right? Every 4 years, you work very hard for the first 3.5 years, that's bear market. And then you enjoy the last 6 months, which is bull market. So every 4 years is like that. But I feel like this cycle is so much different because, well, I think the signal was starting from the January when the Bitcoin ETF approved. So that means the players are different. There were more institutional investors coming to the space. Actually, just a few weeks ago, I was in New York. I met with some of the institutional investors. They gave me really fresh ideas, like the different than the normal crypto perspective. They're actually looking at the fundamentals. When I say fundamentals, it's more than just like TVL or liquidity or transaction volume, that kind of the crypto native fundamentals. They're actually asking the question like, okay, what kind of problem you try to solve? What's your value proposition? What's your market opportunity? What's your growth story? This kind of fundamentals. So I would say this time the market might be really different. Depends on what you really do or what kind of the deliverables you can push to the market. In summary, I believe it's the new era about the applications. So it's like the same thing happening in the internet. In the beginning, the good companies are IBM, Cisco, AT&T, those kind of infrastructure companies. Actually, people are looking for where's the Facebook, where's Google, where's Apple, those kind of application companies. Eventually, application will really drive the mass adoption, bring the entire crypto world to the next level. So in summary, I believe the future is about application. Anybody can have viable, accessible application to the normal user will sit in the center of attention.
Thank you, Mr. Arthur.
Sorry, so I didn't quite hear the question. I heard it was about Harris.
خیلی حرفای مهمی زد
Between
بچه‌ها.
Harris and Trump and what we've
Yeah,
seen
خیلی حرفای
regarding
مهمی
the
زد.
SEC and it was very tough on the crypto leaders and the crypto community. Between Harris and Trump,
این
where
زوم
are you
بکش
seeing
چقدر
the
قور
market
میزنین.
headed, the crypto market
نگاه
headed?
کنین دیگه.
I mean, I don't. First of all, I don't think people should necessarily be single issue voters, right? There's a lot of issues out there. There's a lot of reasons you to pick different candidates, but like on the crypto issue specifically, it's pretty clear that the Democratic Party has waged an all-out war on the crypto industry. From the banking side, the SEC, all sides. So I don't think this is going to change. Maybe like there will be a marginal improvement because it's hard to get worse than it is, but that's pretty clear. So that's. I don't think there's a mystery here.
Okay, thank you. Well, you have an answer about that? Or?
Well, that's just one thing. The nice thing is, like, despite the all-out, despite basically like an all-out war, the industry has been extremely resilient, and what's been wonderful has been the resiliency of the U.S. court system, with important court victory being won over the past couple of years, which shows that even with an entire political apparatus, even with the entire U.S. government fighting this thing, the industry has managed to be resilient and thrive.
Thank you.
I think they're probably not the biggest issue, although they really are being seen as the biggest issue right now. Although I would know only one of them has a crypto token. But I think generally the bigger issue for me is, we find ourselves in a really weird place where we have institutional adoption through ETFs, and yet the largest product in our industry is meme coins, excluding stable coins, which are probably the most valid use case of blockchain today. For me, and I think I echo Sunny's point, which is what we want to see is applications that are intrinsic to people's lives. As yet, we're not there, and probably because the infrastructure is not yet capable, and that's why at Flare we're looking at off-chain compute.
Thank you.
So I think while we're discussing politics, I think it's important to remember why we're here in the first place, because Bitcoin and cryptocurrency was created. I think the whole point of it is that it was created to create an economic or financial system outside of the jurisdiction of nation states, and that isn't directly affected by nation state politics and that kind of thing. That's the main cool thing about crypto. It's like the Bitcoin created a system where the laws aren't enforced by nation states; it's enforced by cryptography network. So maybe in the short term, maybe the election results, people care about that, or the market cares about that. In the long term, it doesn't really matter. They're all the same.
Thank you.
Yeah, on the politics, no comment. Let's just focus on building unstoppable technologies regardless of the politics. competitions.
Yes, but let me clarify, it wasn't a political question. We know that every single person of them is going in another direction, so this is why I asked this question. It was like kind of one question. So I think we only can ask one more question. Please try to be concise as much as you can. The last question is, what are the main technical bottlenecks currently preventing mass adoption of the blockchain, and how do you see them being resolved in the next 3 to 5 years?
Okay, I'll go first. I maybe have a controversial take. I think we are not at the point that we have technical bottlenecks. I think every use case can be solved with the technology we have available. I think the bottlenecks are now more from a solving real problem point of view. You can pick any blockchain today and scale to many number of transactions. You can build your video game, your DeFi protocol, and as an engineer, I don't see any unsurmountable barrier. So I just think now with the last 3-4 years, we have invested so much in building infrastructure. It's now time to utilize it. So I don't see any clear bottleneck.
میگه به اندازه کافی زیرساخت درست کردیم. الان دیگه باید بریم برای اینکه مشکلات اصلی رو حل کنیم.
But I think I'll do the contrarian take, which is that we actually need more infrastructure. Not that, and there isn't enough infrastructure, and that's the reason why we don't have enough applications. Because like I think my benchmark is like the killer use case of crypto should be payments. Like why after like 15 years of crypto we don't have like a killer payment application where you can just pay people even if it's in stablecoins. I would argue, historically speaking, that's because of a lack of infrastructure. Like even Solana with its 2000 TPS has not been able to kind of scale that use case. But now I think recently with technologies like rollups and off-chain execution, we're starting to see kind of really cool, like really good applications of that. Like there's a protocol called Pay, which is like a very like Venmo-like experience for payments.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd echo that infrastructure is still lacking. I still think it's too hard to use, public and private keys for 99% of people. I think once you solve that, probably using some form of infrastructure, then you've got, a route to mass adoption. Then people just need to build the applications.
Thank you. Mr. ارزدیجیتال.
خب این برگشت گفت به نظر من هنوز زیرساختمون سخته. هر وقت سختیش حل شد بعد تازه اپلیکیشن بسازیم.
Technical issues, more a lot of quality of life things that could be infrastructures, good API providers, this type of thing. I also think developer experience is pretty bad right now on blockchains, and one of the things that we've been working on is onboarding developers using mainstream programming languages so that you can use any language, because the technological stack is not just theoretical. It's also there's a massive amount of libraries and tooling that exists for mainstream programming languages, and right now we're bottlenecked by a few thousand developers in the world using tools which have been fully put together to try to write smart contracts that break all the time. So we're trying to change that, and I think it's been a real bottleneck.
Thank you.
Well, honestly, I don't think there is. I agree with Giorgio. Actually, there is no let's say technical bottom or technical barriers right now. Actually, there are many infrastructures really, like a custodian or third-party social login can adopt normal non-crypto user. You don't need to worry about the public key, private key, those kind of hassles. But I vote for applications. Applications should be the king of the new trends. Then the question will be, how are you going to build up the application so easily to address real problems, right? So I would say if we talk about any technical barriers, that will be quite in a high level, or in a let's say big picture, what those AI, IoT, and blockchain can really combine, can really emerge to generate that kind of solution. That's number one. Number two is how we can make the builders are so much easier to build application. Actually, I fed up the go to my CTO. Okay, for any developers, even they don't know about the coding, 2 weeks. That should be the time window to build any decentralized application. Because other than internet, internet, when we think about the Web 2, it's a giant company, tech company. They can have a huge technical team to build an amazing platform. That's great. But in the Web 3, it's more decentralized way. So builders should come in from everywhere. It's like I only wanted to build something to serve my friends and families or people I know, maybe just 100 users. That's fine. That's a beauty of the decentralized way. So in summary, I would say, having some tool to allow the normal people, even non-technical people, to build decentralized application in 2 weeks way, that would be really lead to the mass adoption for the blockchain technology.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen,
بچه منظور از اپلیکیشن خدمات اینجاست. میگه به اندازه کافی زیرساخت داریم. میگه به اندازه کافی زیرساخت داریم ولی هیچ استفاده از این زیرساخت‌ها نمی‌کنیم.
اینترنت آف things هم گفت به زور اینترنت آف things میتونیم اینو برای مردم کاربردی کنیم ولی تا زمانی که تو 2 هفته بشه یه دی اپ بیاریم بالا.
دقیقاً.
Okay, that was really interesting. So once again, let's thank the sponsor of this great discussion, MyCoinPool. So join MyCoinPool as they launch the ECM token ICO, offering new opportunities across 50 platforms. Again, visit Startup Booth M to learn about e-commerce blockchain solutions. So one moment as my iPad catches up. Very good. So just a few days ago, voting in the 11th Blockchain Life Awards ended. The entire industry, not just part, but all of it, came together to vote in 26 different categories, determining the best of the best among us. The long-awaited announcement of the results takes place tomorrow at 18:25. If you're American, that's 6:25 p.m. Don't miss the solemn ceremony where the winners will be honored.
خودم بلیط خریدم و اومدم دعوت نشدم.
Okay, we would also like to thank our diamond sponsor, DJ Miner. DJ Miner specializes in supplying Bitcoin and Dogecoin miners. I thought it was going to be supplying Bitcoin. I like that.
داره اسپانسر نشون میده. یوتیوب بهم گیر میده اگه اسپانسر نشون بده.
In addition, they offer reliable hosting services. See them at booth D3. All right, raise your hand if you own Bitcoin. Good. I like it. You're my hero. Cryptocurrency exchanges play a vital role in shaping the investment environment for private investors. In our next panel, industry leaders will discuss how exchanges are adapting to market shifts, such as regulatory pressures, the integration of NFTs, and the rise of tokenized assets to support retail traders. I'd like to say a few words about the sponsor of this session. BestChange.com, established in 2007, is a platform that enables users to quickly find vetted e-currency, crypto, and cash exchangers with the best rates. It collects user feedback on these services, giving an opportunity to make an informed decision. BestChange.com knows where to exchange. And without further ado, I'd like to invite onto the stage the managing director of KuCoin, Alicia Cao, the head of institutional trading, I imagine, but we'll find out, at HTX, Charmaine Lim, COO at Bitgate, Ugar Usizadeh, CEO of Gate UAE, Edmund Chang, or Chung rather, head of investment at BX Labs, EtherC, and the moderator, who I just met backstage. She's awesome. Vice President of Listing.help, Margarita Rozenskaya. Please give a big round of applause. Please give a big round of applause. High energy, fantastic. A wonderful panel.
اینو بریم بیرون. چی میخواد بگه؟ راجع به اکسچنج. قهر کردی با؟
Okay, I think we're ready to start. My name is Margarita. I'm a vice president at Listing Help and also the organizer of this forum. This is actually the third time I've had the pleasure of moderating a panel discussion like this. But previously in our talks, we were speaking more about trends in general. I think Charmaine or Hugo might remember that. And today we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into another topic, which is how like trends shaping investment strategies and adapting to crypto market trends. We have a very packed agenda today, only 27 minutes left, so I'll start right off with my first question. In your opinion, what are the key factors shaping the investment strategies of private investors, and how are you guys, centralized platforms, are helping investors to adapt to these strategies? Whenever is ready.
So we have, I have been working with our KA team and also our user growth team. So we talk to a lot of different kinds of investors, like institutional investors and also the private investor as well. But we can see that even for the private investor, the macroeconomics also impact their strategy to trade. So we can see the inflation and the rise of the interest rate will also impact the cash flow. So that makes the private investors be more cautious. So they're no longer only seeking for big returns from their crypto portfolios. They're also looking for some scalable returns, like staking or just earn product. So I mean, the key that we could do is to provide more diversifying products and assets to allow our users to manage the risk. So we provide our product with the stable returns, and we also provide some AI tools to help our users to manage their portfolio real time, even in the extreme volatility in the market. And we also provide staking with the decentralized protocols. And I mean, in this kind of current market, to manage the risk will be the key fact. That will be the key that will impact their trading strategy.
Yeah, hi. Well, I think some of the trends or factors that we see that has been ongoing over the last few years across the rise and fall of the cryptocurrency market is that builders continue to build, right? Blockchain technologies are still evolving. So I think this is one of a key factor that even private investors are recognizing that there is an actual utility behind all these blockchains that's been developed. So, I mean, recently there's been quite a hype, right, on Solana-based meme coins. And they kind of cater to more of community-based sort of investors. And BRC20 has been there, and developments in Depends, for example, and also RWA. So I think a lot of these factors are driving interest in the private investment front, because traditionally they tend to invest in safer assets. I think if you look across the trillions of dollars that's in the market right now, highest asset invested in is still real estate, right? Yeah, but you know, crypto is still at its infancy. It's only about over $1 trillion. Used to peak at 3 trillion. So I think there's still a lot of room to grow and room for private investors to explore. They become a little bit more knowledgeable, I think, of the space and you know, the sort of volatility they'll be facing. A lot of them who are investing early gain some knowledge of how to manage their risk better in crypto investments. So I think in general, a lot of technology innovations are still driving this forward for private investors.
I believe there are like trend setters and trend followers. Unfortunately, most people in the industry, they follow the trend, especially this bull market and bear cycles. But as a CEO of BitGet, I know that we don't do that. In the middle of the bear market, we went and invested in 30 million to decentralized wallets. Today, BitGet wallet is most downloaded, one of the largest wallets, and then all our competitors start doing that while people thought that investing 30 million in a bear market wasn't a good idea. Recently, we invested another 30 million to Tone Foundation. We invested several multi-millions to the layer 2. Therefore, I believe investment strategies should be long-term rather than thinking what bear market brings, bull market brings. And unfortunately, in a VC side, we see that VCs also try to invest in a very shorter cycles. In Web 2, VCs will not invest to exit in 8 months or a year, but unfortunately in crypto market, all VCs try to do even that short-term deals in order to be able to exit within the same cycle. Therefore, I believe if we want the industry to grow, we shouldn't be following short-term trends instead of focusing on a long-term vision. And that also applies for the retail investor. We see that, for example, even in the Bitcoin, almost 80-90% all investors are always on a profit. But people who think in a very short term and they enter and exit in this short-term volatility, they get impacted more and they lose money. Therefore, I believe overall the mindset should shift that we shouldn't be focusing on the short-term trends, whether we are a retail investor, private investor, or institutional investor, and think into like a long-term vision, what can happen in 3 to 5 years rather than into 3 to 4 months. And that would be easier way to not be impacted by the trend and volatility instead of focusing on a long-term gain and investment profits.
Yeah, so there are actually, 15,000 tokens that are listed every day. So, investors who wanted to look into projects, how to invest, I would always encourage them, to look at the longer term, basically, look at whether there's any business use case, business application, and how quickly the project can tap into the market that they pitched you for. Because, I can give you a recent example of about Gate. So we have recently invested 10 million in the Tone ecosystem. Basically, what we wanted to see is that, in the Tone ecosystem, we see a very massive users that Telegram can, quickly adopt. But also, in the meantime, we actually see a lack of developers and actually a lack of ecosystem that, or actually the ecosystem has yet to be built. So this is why as Gate.io, we wanted to work with the developers, work with the ecosystem market, the participants, in order to boost the ecosystem, more projects coming out, and let investors have the ability to choose the grade A projects that they would be. So yeah, I mean, rule of thumb, just to summarize, is the business use case. Actually, whether the management team is strong enough, and also about how quickly the project can capture the market shares.
Cool. And if dividing this category into two topics, we are talking about trading strategies in the secondary market. I think the best observation is for market volatility. And we all noticed that since this year, the whole market volatility is kind of low. And in such market, we should focus on how to make better arbitraging in trading strategies rather than seeking great alpha. But as my job as the investment for primary market, we look for two things. The first is the technology innovation format, the shifting. Through this year in crypto world, we see that all the attacks are just shifting from just layer 1 to more layer 2, the DA layer, and some other, I think, yield protocol layer, and to more application ones. And this, we have to capture the trend, what the market trend is really in, and what the hot money and what people are interested in, who are solving the user's pain point. And another thing is quite similar, we look through the massive user adoption. And that's why we also invest in the Tone ecosystem. We are interested in the GameFi, and also sometimes the other way, tokenization and yield protocols. And that's what we think can make the crypto world more seamless, give users the most simple way to access and to get their assets and earn their yield.
Okay, thank you guys. I really loved your ideas that builders keep building, that the investments should be rather long-term, not for 3 to 5 months, that you need to expand your team. That actually reminded me of a Chinese word, in Chinese word, in one of the Chinese word crisis, there's a key that can be translated as opportunity. So in every bullish market, there's always like opportunities, and that what reminded me of what you said. And okay, let's shift gears to another crucial topic for our investors, which is security and compliance. I know that this is a tricky question, especially for centralized platforms. I want to say to you that you don't have to disclose any sensitive information that can put your platforms in danger. Just you can speak in general terms. How are you guys enhancing transparency and security measures to attract more private investors and protect them from hacks or losses? Who can answer that?
I can go ahead, I guess, because we always take a huge pride as a BitGet on transparency. We were one of the first centralized exchange who start publishing proof of reserves. Basically, every month or two, we will put out a report to make sure that all our customer funds are visibly available and everyone can check where they are. We never touch them. And we also have a promise that whenever this report comes out, we have more than 1.5 times or 150% of customer funds available. Basically, if all our customers decide to take all funds today, we will still have around 50% more liquidity within the exchange, which makes us a reliable partner for both investors and also listing partners. Secondly, we have our customer protection fund. It is the second largest and it's available on Bitcoins only, 6,500 Bitcoins. Everyone can go and again check them on available wallets. And whenever something goes wrong, recently there was a scam case with the listing partners that we jumped in and we refunded them, and all these cases we are able to facilitate with this user fund.
بچه‌ها من میرم غذا بخورم. اینا هم ایونت ها الانشون دیگه به درد ما نمیخوره. ولی اون خیلی بینگیکس خوب بود. اصلا اون خیلی آدم باحالی بود. هد آف اینوستمنت بینگیکس آدم حرفای باحالی زد. ولی همشون الان سیخشون رو اپلیکیشنه. یادت 2 سال پیش دنبال زیر ساخت بودیم، الان همش دیگه دنبال اپن. خدمات.
We are again one of the only largest exchanges that never got suffered any sort of the AI-related scam so far, and we put in place the risk adverse mechanisms to make sure that also team members within the company can't do much. And 2 months ago, we invested around $5 million in education during the anti-scam month, where we try to educate all our 45 million users to make sure that they make decisions to prevent any sort of phishing or scam acts that they can end up being victim with. And definitely when it comes to compliance, I think next 2 years will be most important.
من برام یه غذا بخورم. سمینارهای بعدی رو میام براتون لایو میذارم.
Take as many licenses as possible, partner with already licensed local exchanges in order to speed this process. And I think, and I always say this, what we will need next 2-3 years, more and more lawyers and legislators who understand crypto, learn about crypto